Hi everyone, Stephen Aitchison here with another CYTLive show. I'm the creator of PositiveLifeAffirmations.net, a program to help you change your beliefs to change your life. So today we're going to be talking about 5 ways mindfulness can improve your relationships. And this is from an article from our resident writer over on the Change of Thoughts blog, and it's from Gina Sendev. And I thought this was a really great article. We've just kind of recently published it. And I thought it was a really good article because really what Gina's talking about with regards to relationships and mindfulness is not being kind of reactive to things that come up in relationships. And when we're talking about relationships, we're talking about all types of relationships here. It could be a relationship with your work colleagues, your boss, your children, your kind of spouse, your partner, all types of relationships we're talking about here. And I just think this is a really good article, and I'll put a link down below for this article as well. Now, obviously, you know, most people in their life, they're really happy when their relationships are kind of in a harmonious state. And a lot of us don't really think about being mindful of our relationships when usually we're very reactive. We react to things that happen in the relationship. And a lot of the times we react when we're in an emotional state. But if we can balance that out, not balance it out, but we can kind of look at the relationship, and I'm going to talk more about this in a minute, but if we can look at the relationships we have in our life and really think about what we want from the relationship, and also look at the other person, what they want as well from the relationship with us, because it's a two-way street. And that's when you start to think about having a more kind of harmonious relationship. But what Gina's talking about here is being mindful, and always being mindful. So you're being conscious about your relationship. And I know my relationship with my spouse, my wife Sharon, we're always thinking about our relationship. We're always talking about the relationship, and we ask each other about our relationship as well. And we kind of do it jokingly, but we're kind of serious as well. So saying, is there anything else I can do to make you happy, to make you happier? Because we're extremely happy. And I think I recognise that myself and Sharon, I've got a kind of unique relationship. It's not unique, it's just unusual, because a lot of relationships, particularly married couples or people who are kind of together, don't have this type of relationship myself and Sharon do. So we're extremely, would I say fortunate? No, it's not fortunate. It's because we are, what Gina's talking about here today, we are mindful of our relationship kind of at all times, every day, all times. We're very mindful of each other. And Sharon's mindful of me. I'm very mindful of Sharon as well. And we want to make each other as happy as possible. And we just kind of ask each other almost on a daily basis something that could make us happier in the relationship. And we kind of sit down and talk about it sometimes. Not planned. It's just when we go to bed at night, we're talking about stuff. Or if Sharon's not happy about something, she'll tell me. And I'll tell Sharon if I'm not happy about something as well. So that's about being mindful in your relationship. So Gina's talking about 5 points here. And I think these are really important. So if you've got any type of relationship with your kids, your boss, your kind of work colleagues, your friends, your partner, anybody in your life, I think this is going to be really important for you. A wee second. I thought something was up there, but I think we're okay. Yeah, everything's looking okay. I'll just see. Yeah, it's all okay. I think I'll keep going anyway. It says I'm getting an error here, but I'll keep going anyway. Okay, the number one that Gina's talking about is self-care is a top priority. If you're not looking after yourself, i.e. you're not eating right and you're not in good kind of physical condition, you're letting yourself go, or you're not sleeping right, it's going to make your relationships a little bit harder. Because what's going to happen when you're not really looking after yourself, your mental well-being, your spiritual well-being, and your physical well-being as well, when you're not truly taking care of yourself, then things can manifest outwardly. And if you're angry about something, that'll come across in your relationships. You might snap at somebody for no reason, simply because you've not had enough sleep, or you've not been eating properly, or you feel kind of low, you've got that low vibrational energy, because you feel physically unfit or physically unwell because you've not been taking good care of yourself. So you need to make it a top priority to look after yourself. And I think a lot of us don't actually do that. If I'm being really honest, being open and honest here, I don't take care of myself as much as I should. And I'm not going to make excuses here. I just don't. I don't make it my health as much a priority as I should. I'm better now. But because of the business and everything, there's loads of things going on in the business. And I spend a lot of time kind of sitting kind of online at the computer with Skype calls. I'm kind of constantly sitting for maybe 14, 15, 16 hours a day. And I get up and take breaks and stuff like that as well. But it's not good enough. If I'm being really honest, I don't take good care of myself. And over the last couple of months, I've started to do that. And I'm seeing a difference as well. I feel better. I feel more refreshed. I feel kind of more energetic as well. Although I've always had a lot of energy because this passion that I've got for the business just, I don't know, it fuels that energy. And I thought at some point this is going to burn out, but it's never so far. But I've felt a wee bit of a difference when I've been starting to really consciously be aware of taking care of myself. Because when you can take care of yourself, then it means you've got the capacity and the energy to take care of the people that you love as well. So that's the first thing that Gina's talking about in this article. Self-care is a top priority. Number 2, set intentions and goals for your relationships. Now, you might have heard of setting intentions and goals for kind of the big things that you have in life. If you've got a goal to buy a new house, if you've got a goal to get a new job, or a goal to set up your own business or to write a book, you might have heard of kind of setting intentions and goals for things like that. But you may not have heard about setting intentions and goals for your relationships. And what Gina's saying here is the energy that you create from the intentions and goals that you have will be manifested in your relationships as well. So if you set good intentions and goals for your relationships, then that can only be a good thing for your energy, because that energy is going to rub off into the other people around about you, the people that you actually have relationships with. So if you can do that and set intentions and be mindful of that, not all times, but be mindful and consciously aware of how you're kind of interacting with other people, and soon it will become a habit. You'll just become conscious of the relationships you have in your life, and it makes a huge difference when you can think about somebody and think about other person's feelings and think about and have intentions for that type of relationship. And again, so going back to myself and Sharon as well, we've got kind of intentions. We know what our goals are for each other, and really is to make each other as happy as possible, but you've got to be more specific than that. So what do I think would make Sharon kind of happier? What does Sharon think would make me happier as well? And we kind of set specific intentions on that as well. There's no point in saying I just want to have a loving relationship. You've got to be more specific than that as well. And again, I think that's another good point as well. I know Sharon works really hard. She's the kind of director, or she's the CEO of a charity for abused women. It's a kind of hard job. It's really stressful, and it's a charity. They're constantly trying to get money in. Plus, she's managing kind of a group of kind of a lot of women as well to deal with. And I know it's quite stressful. So one of my goals for her to make life when she comes home to be as less stressful as possible. And normally Sharon kind of understands I work real hard in the business. And normally what she would say is, don't worry about the housework and stuff like that. I'll do kind of the housework. And Sharon usually does it, if I'm being honest. But every day at 3:30ish, when I've kind of finished the live shows and stuff like that, and I've not got any calls, I will go up and kind of tidy the house, clean it up, and do the kind of surface stuff. Not to help Sharon out, it's just so, because it's my house as well, it's not just Sharon's. So, but that when she comes home to a nice, clean home. And I'm very conscious that when you walk through the door after a hard day's work, because I've done it myself as well, when I've walked through the door after a hard day's work, and I've come through the door and the place is a riot because of the boys, they've left their clothes, it's just untidy, it's not been hoovered or anything, then I know the difference it can make when you come into a nice, clean home, the energy changes of the home when it's nice and clean, it's tidy. And I know it's only surface stuff, but it makes a big difference. And that's not a bad example. It's just an example that I could think of just now that makes a difference. So I'm consciously aware that when Sharon comes in from a hard day's work, I like to have the place nice and tidy for her coming home, and that's part of my kind of role in the house. It's part of my role anyway. As a husband, I need to kind of hoover up and do the dishes and do the kitchen and stuff like that. This is not going to make any sense, is it? But I hope it does. Give me a few hearts if that makes sense, because I don't know if it's making sense or not. And Facebook is totally stuck just now, so I'm going to log off and log back on again. If you just bear with me a wee second, because I can't see you. I can't see if there's any comments or not. So if you just bear with me one wee sec. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. It's just about thinking about the other person and really thinking about what's going to make them, with regards to that, what's going to make Sharon less stressed and when she comes home from work. Less stressed means she's coming home to a tidy home. Now, as I said, Sharon does most of the work. She does the kind of ironing on a Sunday. She spends hours doing the ironing on a Sunday, and I kind of do the surface work during the day, midweek, and then we do stuff together as well. So I've got a few hearts, so you're understanding. That's fine. I'm back on Facebook. I can see your comments. Paul Kennedy Rebel saying you always make sense. Thank you very much, Paul. Really appreciate that. Kelly Samjin is saying makes perfect sense. Maria Flynn, FB has been totally wonky this morning. It is. It's been very strange because I keep getting up these error messages, but we're working okay. Okay, so number 3, as Gina Sendev was talking about, is communicate your feelings, needs and boundaries. Communicate your feelings, needs and boundaries. And when I was reading this, I kind of thought about my kids. I keep saying kids, my boys, because my boys are 21 and 19 now. Lewis, who's 19, he's moved out and he's moved in with his girlfriend now as well. So the relationship, the dynamic in a relationship has slightly changed because I don't see him every single day now. So it's more of or less of me being kind of a father figure or a dad to him because he's being independent. There's certain parts of it when the kids are growing up that you let go of the kids each year, a little bit more each year, and it's really, really difficult actually. It's quite heartbreaking sometimes. I remember when the boys first went down to England themselves, they got on a train down themselves when they were 14 and 12 or something. I actually cried at the station because they were going down to England to visit relatives, and they're going to be away for 2 days. And it was the first time they'd done anything on their own. But you have to realise there's got to be kind of boundaries there as well. You have to let your kids grow up at some point, and you have to give them a little bit more freedom each year. And when they went away when they were 14 and 12, it was heartbreaking. I was kind of in tears, not floods of tears. I was just kind of crying and kind of holding it back. But you have to let go, and you've got to have boundaries. But those boundaries change over time as well, particularly with regards to your kids. But boundaries in general for your relationships, having boundaries and setting clear boundaries and letting know, communicating your feelings to somebody if they've overstepped the boundaries as well is going to be really, really important. And the quicker you can do that at the start of the relationship, the better. Because if somebody gets away with something in your relationship and they're getting away with it all the time because you're saying, oh, I shouldn't really say anything, I don't want to be unkind to them, then they're going to keep on doing it and they're going to push the boundaries a little bit more each time. So you have to set clear boundaries at the beginning as well. All relationships have boundaries. Like, for example, a boundary, I would never, ever, ever dream of kind of putting Sharon down. I would never dream of doing it, even if it was just me and Sharon, but in company, even in jest, I would never ever dream of putting Sharon down. Even if it was a joke or something like that, I've always got Sharon's back. Always. So if somebody says something to her, I wouldn't stand for that. That would be a clear kind of boundary we have. We protect each other. And I think all families should have that. That's something we're teaching the boys as well. You should always look out for your family first, and then your friends, and then whoever else after that. It doesn't matter, but your family is the most important. If anybody says anything about your family, or you never talk about your family when you're outside, something we've always taught the boys, and that's a boundary that we have as well. But in relationships, you need to set clear boundaries for you. The quicker, the better within that relationship. Number 4, what Gina's talking about, is about being mindful in relationships. Follow your instincts and your intuition. Usually when you first meet somebody, you kind of get a gut instinct about them. So when I first started doing the Facebook live shows, you probably got a gut instinct about me when you're listening to me talking. A lot of people might have kind of turned off because they had that gut instinct that they didn't like what I was talking about, or they didn't like what I was saying, or they just didn't like my energy, so they might have turned off. But a lot of people stayed on because they had that gut instinct whereby he's a guy I might be able to trust, or he's talking sense or something. Like, you get a gut instinct. So I'm just using that as an example because I don't know who you've met in your life, but we've all met people who have kind of said, nah, I'm not too sure about them, and your gut instinct is saying, nah, I don't trust them for some reason, or there's something dodgy about that person. And listen to your gut instinct. It's been shown and proven, and this is not in the article, but it's been shown and proven that we have 3 brains in our body. Now, that might sound a bit weird, but what it is, your gut has neuronal kind of cells in them, which are kind of related to the brain, and they communicate with the brain, directly communicate with the brain. And they have neuronal cells in them. So your gut, and also your heart has those neuronal cells as well. And the brain obviously has neuronal cells as well, and they're all communicating with each other at all times. So that's when you say, oh, my gut instinct tells me this is not right. This is where it comes from. So we've not been able to scientifically prove it in the past, but we can now, that your gut has neuronal cells in them. Same with your heart as well. When you feel something and it's coming from the heart, and you say that I feel it in my heart of hearts that this is the right thing to do, that's your heart brain talking. Then you've got your gut brain, and then you've got your kind of logical brain as well in your head. And so that is scientific, kind of it's fact now. I was listening and kind of researching some of that a couple of weeks ago, and it's really interesting stuff. So listen to your gut instincts and your intuition as well. And number 5, the last one, and this is really important as well for your own well-being, as well as for the person in the other relationship with you, is know when to let go. A lot of people hold on to relationships, and it could be for a number of reasons. Out of fear of being unkind to the person, out of fear of what they might do if you end the relationship, out of fear that you might not be able to go on without them, or you don't know how to cope without them, or you don't know what you're going to do financially without the other person as well. A lot of people hold on to kind of relationships sometimes too long, and particularly toxic relationships in their life. If somebody's always putting you down, if somebody's kind of being financially abusive towards you, if they're being verbally abusive, that's a clear sign to kind of let go. But there's that thing inside you that says, I know they're being verbally abusive, I know they're kind of putting me down, I know they're being financially abusive or even physically abusive as well. But there's something within them that says, I need to stay. And it could be because of that fear. But in ordinary relationships as well, in your work relationships as well, if you've got somebody toxic and they're kind of maybe putting you down kind of all the time, it's time to break that kind of relationship and also let the person know exactly what you're doing. And that's about setting clear boundaries at the beginning as well. So I remember a time when I was at work and I started a new kind of business role. I was in kind of business management at a big kind of BT company. There was a woman there that kind of would put me down. Because I was new in the group, she would kind of put me down in front of other people, but she made it out to be a laugh. It's something I just wasn't happy about at all. So I let that go on, I let it slide because I thought it was about her personality. She was very kind of vociferous, and she was very kind of loud and stuff like that. So I let it go for a wee bit. And then we were on a night out, and I hadn't had a drink at this point. And so I got a chance to speak to her alone. And I kind of voiced my feelings, and I set the boundaries kind of there and then. That was early on into the relationship. Set the boundaries there and then. I just said, I don't appreciate what you're doing. You might think it's funny. I don't. I've just joined the group. I'm still trying to find my place within the group. And you're trying to make fun of me and put me down. She goes, it's only a joke. It's only a joke. I'm saying, no, It's a joke to you. It's not funny to me. A joke's a joke when it's funny to everybody, but not to me. You might find it funny. I don't. So we kind of set boundaries very early on in relationships. And I'm somebody, I don't like confrontation at all. But when somebody's pissing me off or somebody's going over the boundaries, then I have to let them know. And it's kind of hard to do that sometimes, but you have to do and set those boundaries as well. So know when to let go of toxic relationships as well. And I just thought it was a really good article to share with you today. And as I said, I'll post the link to the article down below by Gina. I'm just wondering if we have any questions. I'm stuck again. So bear with me a wee second. I'm just going to log back into Facebook because we are stuck. Right. Where are we? Yeah, back on Facebook again. So I'm just wondering if we have any questions. Linda Caldwell saying great article. Sean Morgan, thank you, Stephen. Needed to hear this. Shell's quote: as long as you continue to give, people will take and take. You have to know when to say no. You do, and that's about being confident enough within yourself to stand up and say no. Enough's enough. These are the boundaries. You do not go over these boundaries. So you have to be kind of confident enough to say that. But a lot of people just don't like confrontation at all, and they can't do that. But the very first time that you do it, the very first time that you stand up, that'll give you the confidence going on into future relationships as well. You have to almost force yourself to stand up and say, no, this is enough. I don't appreciate you doing that. I don't appreciate you saying that. Enough's enough. So once you do that for the very first time, it gives you the confidence to really stand up and be assertive in the future, not aggressive. Big difference from assertiveness and aggressiveness. If you go in aggressive, it's just going to attract more aggressiveness. If you go in assertive, that's a totally different matter. And Fanny Lowe is saying, I love myself. And it's about kind of appreciating and loving yourself enough to stand up and know and let other people know where your boundaries are if they do happen to cross them. Joanna Betances, is that right? Betances. Sometimes the universe does the dirty work for you. Yes, I kind of know what you mean there. I think I know what you mean, but I'm not going to say it, but I think I know what you mean by that. Pushpa is saying these boundaries have also to be set in because you never know when the things could get out of control. And that's it. If you set boundaries at the beginning of relationships, it could spiral out of control, just like Pushpa is saying there. It can spiral out of control quite easily. If you let people take and take and take from you, then that's going to kind of get out of control. And it's going to get to a point where you get so angry, you get so upset that you just kind of lose the mind and you're doing things from a point of anger and fear instead of doing it emotionally balanced. So you want to set those boundaries from the beginning as well. Katrina Francis, I let go of a toxic relationship a few months ago. My 3-year-old grandson even told me he didn't like him, and that's when it was time to leave. Kids are highly intuitive. You'll find kids will tell you kind of about adults before you actually feel it yourself sometimes. So kids are really, really intuitive. They just naturally are intuitive before they kind of start growing up and people tell them intuitive is just don't listen to that. You have to think about the logical brain. But kids are highly intuitive and they can often tell when people are there's something not right with people. Donna Normandin, I set boundaries with my boss from the start. I watch him abuse my co-workers and they allow it, but he leaves me alone. And I think that's extremely important as well. With regards to your boss, the very first thing that they do, they step over the boundaries or they step over the mark, you have to let them know. And even though it's going to take a lot of guts to stand up and do that, and even though you might be thinking, well, he's my boss, he might sack me, you still have to do it because they're just going to keep on walking all over you as well. And just like Donna said there, he kind of abuses other people. They let him get away with it because they've not set the boundaries, but Donna stood up, set the boundaries from the beginning, and he kind of leaves her alone, which is not good for the other people, but there you go. Stephen Webb, always communicate from your heart and how you feel as opposed to what you think. Yeah, I think that's very, very true. And something I'm realising more and more and more. When something feels right from your heart and communicate from the heart as well in a genuine and authentic way, as long as you're being honest, not aggressive, and not kind of putting people down, I think the communication is going to be more open that way as well. So good point, Stephen. Thanks for that. Sean Morgan, come from a place of love. Yep, definitely. And it's always about coming from a place of love as well, because you always want all your relationships to kind of work out, no matter if it's a friend, if it's a boss, if it's your kind of partner, your spouse. It doesn't matter. You want kind of the relationships, because you're choosing relationships to have in your life as well. You're choosing the people to surround yourself with. So you always want good kind of relationships, and being mindful of the relationships and kind of setting boundaries and having intentions for those relationships is really going to help you as well. So I think that's it for the moment. We're sticking again. So I'm going to leave it there for just now and wish you a brilliant day, whatever you're doing. I'll put a link to the article and anything else we've discussed below after this live. And have a brilliant day, and namaste. Take care. Bye now.